Thank you guys so much for joining us. This session is called Creating in the Cloud, and also want to thank the people online for tuning in for that as well. Before we get started in the discussion, we're going to show you a video just to give you a good idea of what we're going to be talking about.
Hello, I'm Tara Naomi. We are attempting to record the first ever album over Google Hangouts. It's never been done before. I have all this stuff set up here, and we're going to record, and the project is going to be called Nothing to Hide, because as you can see, we are going to let you see everything.
Come on down, you're the next contestants. George Louise, come on down. You're the next contestants on the Tara Naomi album project Hangout.
I'm making this on my end.
Okay, I'll keep talking, la 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 la. Do you know how badly I want to watch Cupcake Wars right now? Holy crap. I need a doctor. Wait, are we on? Is that what the audience is saying? It sounds better? So they heard me doing all that? I didn't know we were broadcasting.
Just act like it's a concert and a class at the same time. You're teaching a concert class or something. So.
Got nothing to lose and nothing to hide.
So let's see. Now you want me to angle it down a little bit towards my throat and away from my mouth?
Yeah.
Like this?
Sounds so dirty.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah, that did sound a little bit wrong.
All right, awesome. So basically that's creating in the cloud. You're using Google Plus Hangouts to connect people all over the world in the same room, and you could have multiple people in there, and it's real-time, face-to-face, and it allows, the unique thing about it is it allows an interactive audience to be a part of the experience as well. So not only can you have different talents in the room, you know, somebody playing a guitar, somebody singing, an audio engineer, but you could open it up to the public to have them see what's going on and walk through the experience with you as well. So I want to introduce the two people to my right and left. And over here we have Tara Naomi. And just some of the highlights real quick, because there's a long list, trust me. She's a recording artist and a pioneer in online independent music scene. She actually came up with the idea of creating in the cloud, and she was one of the first artists to post music vids onto YouTube, and that led to her winning the first YouTube award for Best Music Video back in '06. She's toured with The Fray, Natasha Bedingfield, Sarah Bareilles. So career highlights, very extensive, and she's continuing to break boundaries in the social, digital world. And then to my left, I have Chi, who is like the brains of the operation here. He's a MIT grad. He's worked 14 years at Microsoft as a programmer. He started the Pocket PC, which you might remember, then Windows, the mobile effort in Microsoft. He started the project to move Xbox Live out of the console and onto other devices and desktops. And then he joined Google 5 years ago. And since then, he's worked on Chrome, Google Talk, and Google Plus Hangouts, which we're going to be dealing with mainly today. So let's get right into this. We want to give you an idea of what we have going on here and how you guys can utilize this and hopefully use it to your benefit. Tara, first question, first things first. How'd you come up with this concept?
Well, first of all, I'm very hurt that I'm not the brains of the
You are.
I'm clearly not. That's okay. I'll own that. So basically, I was doing what several other musicians are doing now, which is broadcasting live concerts over Hangouts. And while I was setting up my microphones and audio, my very simple audio, I have very limited knowledge, as I'm not the brains. I have limited knowledge of recording. So I had a friend that was in Toronto, and he's an engineer, and he was sort of in real time telling me, okay, no, move this here, move this microphone here, change this setting on your little M box. I use this little thing to plug the microphone into the computer. And while that was going on, I kind of was thinking, this is really cool. You know, he's able to tell me exactly what to do to get it to sound right. And then I kind of thought, well, if we can do this for a live broadcast, why can't we do this to record? If he's actually hearing and able to adjust the audio remotely in his studio, then we should just, why can't he be capturing the audio at the same time and then also adjusting it, helping me adjust it, telling me what to do? And that was sort of how the idea was born.
A lot of people that you talk to are going to initially be skeptical about the idea of recording on the web. You know, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know, people love the recording studio. It's very intimate. It's physical. It's face to face. What would you say the benefits are of doing it this way as opposed to just being in the studio?
Well, I mean, being in the studio is great, and I mean, I made my last album in a really nice studio, and it was incredibly expensive. So I also happen to live in Los Angeles, so it's like I can drive 10 minutes and I'm at the Village and like iconic recording studios. But if I wanted to record and I didn't have a budget and I didn't have access and I was in some remote location, and I don't know how to go on and do Pro Tools or Logic or the more complicated aspects of home recording, and I want the feedback of a producer who's actually there, and I want the experience of working with a producer, this is a way to kind of remove all the limitations of budget, distance, access to various equipment and people, and have someone. And it almost becomes, like you could see in the video, it's almost like he's in the next room. The computer screen almost feels like the window when you're in a recording in a vocal booth and you look out and you see the engineer sitting there behind his console, and it sort of felt the same, although it was a laptop. And he wasn't in the next room, he was in Toronto.
When you're talking about saving costs and stuff like that, can you be a little bit more specific? What's some of the areas that you're saving money in?
Well, I mean, just working in a studio is going to cost you anywhere from probably $500 on the low end to several $1,000s a day.
Okay.
So if you don't have that kind of budget, then it's tough to go into a studio. And also, I mean, I just used like a really simple mic and a simple setup. I don't use Logic. I don't use Pro Tools. I don't even really use GarageBand. It's just not what I'm into. I like writing songs and playing music. So
as long as the vocalist or the drummer or whatever has minimal recording equipment that gets the job done, that's all you need, like a microphone and a program on your computer.
Yeah.
And then what? Once you lay your vocals down, you just send it over to the engineer? How does that exchange work?
We did everything. Like we set up a click track like you would do in a studio, so that I played guitar to a click track, which is like a metronome. It just keeps the time so that you can then add in other instruments if you wish to do that after, and it all lines up. So we did that, and then I laid down the vocal, and we did the whole thing in front of a live audience online through Hangout. At the time, it was Hangout Party because we didn't have Hangouts on air yet. Now we have, through Google Hangouts, the ability to broadcast out across, to however many people want to watch. And so we had not only the live recording experience going on, but we also had an interactive audience, which really is exciting to me just from a social media perspective, because people become engaged in the process. They become, they kind of feel an ownership over it because they're part of it, and then they get excited about promoting it, which, as any independent musician knows, is kind of more than half the battle.
Can that be sometimes distracting? Do you ever get like a heckler in the room and they're like, oh, this sucks, change this, change that? I mean, can you mute people?
You can mute people, you can block them,
Okay.
you can just kick them off.
Awesome,
So,
that's important.
Yeah, you have some control.
Now, a lot of people might be thinking, hey, this isn't a new concept. People use Skype all the time to do things along the same lines. And Chi can speak more about this as well. What would you think the difference is between Google Plus Hangouts and using Skype?
Well, it's exactly what I was just talking about. Like the social media engagement aspect of it is totally unique because you have people in there, and with the way that Google Hangouts, and you can talk more about this, but it's all integrated into everything. So with one click, people are, inviting other people in to watch the whole thing happening. There's a nice link between Google Plus and YouTube. So now with Hangouts on Air, you can archive everything. So every recording session could be archived, and then it's instantly uploaded and saved on YouTube, and then you can choose to make that public. So the kind of trading back and forth between the Google Plus sessions and YouTube viewers, and there's just so much cross promotion, and I think that's probably the most unique.
With
thing
Hangouts,
about
you can
this.
have 10 people in a room at one time.
Yeah.
And you can span across the world. And we take the traffic of that onto a private network. So the response time is really fast. Like you can talk with each other, you can collaborate, you can have arguments, which are like even hard to have over a cell phone.
Right.
It's like, in addition to that, the integration with the rest of the community allows people who are just watching, like thousands and thousands of people who are just watching, to contribute comments and give you feedback live. And you can sort of filter them out and pick and choose and sort of modify and adjust and get real-time feedback from your fans and your audience.
Now, Chi, when you were working on this, when you were first coming out with Google Plus Hangouts, did you anticipate it being used this way, like recording artists using it to actually lay down tracks and do songs and stuff like that? Or did you have to kind of tailor fit it as people like Tara started using it that way?
No, we had a very strong notion that it would be used for collaboration. Like Google as a company, we're spread out across the world, and we have a philosophy of instead of trying to bring everyone into one location, to go where talent is and enable talent to reside where they are and to leverage that, which is I think what collaboration in the cloud is all about, and creating the cloud, because you can reach out to talent wherever they are. So at Google, we run the company on Hangouts.
Okay.
We have thousands and thousands of Hangouts every day. It's how we do business. So we strongly believe in collaboration using this tool. We didn't really expect it to be done for music. And so the codec that we have right now is tuned to voice and conversation, not necessarily tuned to music, but we're definitely adjusting it because of what people like Tara are doing with it.
But now you do, and this goes to you, tailor fitting it to, suit artists. You do have some collaboration tools on there available and stuff like that. Can you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a set of built-in tools, so you can project your screen and show what you're working on your desktop. You have documents that you can collaborate with, and people can edit and modify documents or show a presentation slideshow. Right built into Hangouts. And that's how we do our work at Google. But we also created a platform whereby developers can write additional apps. So if you want to have a specialized music tool, creation tool, you can write that. Right? So we've created a platform to allow developers, third parties, to build tools that we hadn't thought of, that we didn't even would dream would be used for Hangouts.
Okay. A lot of people that are technologically handicapped don't even want to get a new cell phone because they're like, I don't want to go through learning all the different buttons and what is this Facebook button on my phone. Some people have a difficult time with that. So I'm sure there's a lot of people concerned with how easy it is to go about setting this up and getting people involved and just the process. Because even in a recording studio, there's a whole lot going on. You got the patch bays, you have the different programs running, you have multiple booths. So how easy is this to set up?
Well, we definitely designed it for people who are not technical to be able to use it.
Okay.
So
she's right there. She's like,
Oh,
that's great.
She relates to me.
So you hit a button to create a Hangout, and you just invite in the people that you want, and then it goes. And then you don't have to mess around with it much. We'll detect whoever's talking. We'll flip to whoever's talking. So even like in a 10-person room, like watching the main screen is like watching TV as it sort of flips back and forth. And you can just let it go and enjoy, sit back and enjoy.
Okay, cool. And Tara touched on this briefly. Once you do a recording, it's automatically archived on YouTube?
For the on-air,
Okay.
if you do a Hangout on air, then yes, it's automatically archived on YouTube, and it's also broadcasted out using the YouTube infrastructure. So you can have thousands, hundreds of thousands of people watching at a time.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so I guess that's kind of similar to like you stream when you do a recording there, and then it's kind of automatically archived, so you could replay it and use it as a promotional tool. And
Yeah, absolutely. And you can use all the rich tools that are built into YouTube to edit it as well as promote it on your site.
okay, and some people might not know there's also Google Music, right?
Yes.
Can you explain how that feature kind of ties in with Google Plus Hangouts?
I think that the collaboration that you use allows you to create the content that you can upload to it. The Hangouts don't currently feed straight into Google Music, and that's something that I think Tara and others have done. That's taking the content you build from it.
Yeah, well, I think that the potential is there probably in the very near future for stuff that is recorded this way to then, like, it's so quick to put stuff up on Google Music, and then the way that it feeds into to the stream on Google Plus is really interesting because it actually encourages people to buy music because they can have like a one-time preview of the song, and then if they want to hear it again in their stream, they purchase it, at least from what I understand. But so I don't. That's not quite there yet. But I think that probably will be. I think you guys are just like rolling new stuff out like every day for this.
We do push new things every day,
Yeah.
and a lot of it is just really watching how people are trying to use Hangouts and Google Plus and supporting it. Right? And this is definitely an area that we're seeing a lot of activity in.
And Google Plus, it's still in its baby phase, very much so. Are you worried that because it's still growing, it's still, attracting people, people are just now catching on to it. Are you worried that you're rolling out all these different features and things like that when you don't even necessarily have the fan base that, say, a Facebook or Twitter already has?
Well, Google Plus has been growing incredibly quickly. I think we just announced that we have 90 million users, and we're 7 months old. So that's not bad after 7 months. I think the passion that we're seeing around it, especially in Hangouts, really make me excited about the potential that we have. I think that the momentum is just growing and growing.
Okay, and it's also a good thing for aspiring artists as well, or engineers, because it's almost like a live tutorial. You're watching this this song unravel or come together, and you're learning a lot of tricks of the trade and kind of things ways you could tweak your voice, put reverb here and multi-tracks and stuff like that, right?
That was the whole point. We wanted to do something that was entertaining, but also was educational. Because I found, like, especially when I started, 5 years ago when I started putting videos on YouTube, a lot of the people that were watching them and contacting me were other artists who wanted to do the same thing. And they were like, how are you doing this? What are you doing? How can I do it? And so to me, it's really important to be able to provide that information to other artists, because what I can do on my own is like, okay, that's great, that's cool, but I want to see like what someone in, some bedroom in her parents' house in like 16-year-old in Oklahoma does with it. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see like how other people collaborate and where they take it and where it goes. And what it kind of evolves into when other people get involved and make it their own. So showing people how to do this, and also, just my own inexperience and my own ignorance as to like how the recording process actually happens was one of the motivating factors behind being educational with it, because I wanted to learn, and if I want to learn, then there's a lot of other people that want to learn. So
Right.
yeah, we could show them. Should we show them?
Yeah, actually,
live
we're
hangout?
not going to just talk the talk. We're going to walk the walk. So
I'm
we're
all
going
excited to show the
to
hangout.
get into this hangout.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
we'll show
Here,
you
wait. I
a
wanna
live
check on wires.
process of what's going on, and hopefully it'll work out, because that
It'll
would
work out.
help our panel.
So we created a hangout before this panel started, and we have a couple friends in here right now. You can see when you scroll over, you're able to see people's names, which is really helpful when you've got 9 other people in a room and you can't remember anybody's name, because that's what happens to me all the time. So I'm like, oh, there's Rob Michael, there's Lucas Johnson, and there is Cliff Roth, although that's not Cliff, that's a photo that he chose that looks like, a painting.
That's actually a live painting.
A painting. I'm sorry?
So
It's actually being painted live right now.
Oh, it's being, okay, perfect. All right, this is the thing that we wanted to demonstrate, because one of the things that we were really excited about when we started my recording project was actually having artists collaborate as well, visual artists. So we had some people that were actually creating art live while we were recording, and that was sort of going to be the art that would accompany the track. So you guys set up a demonstration of how this worked, and Lucas is the engineer, and he'll take it from there.
Hey, people. All right, so Tara touched on one thing that's pretty important, is that not only is it educational and all this thing, but it really does make your audience feel like you're part of the process and really grabs them. And it's the idea of having one fan is more valuable long-term than having 100 followers. That's kind of important. So we'll give you a rough demonstration of it. Inside the Hangout, I can do a shared screen, so I actually have Rob connected DAW to DAW through VST. So we'll show you how that's going to work. Let's share screen. All right, so I can still talk to Rob while this is happening. Because it's VST to VST, it's not actually hitting the recording. So Rob, go ahead and play. So that's actually Rob's input coming in. And I'll record. And I can still talk to him while he's playing. And the cool thing about this is that there's no real track limitation, it's only bandwidth limitation. So I can have 5, 8 tracks going at the same time, back and forth. It is just a matter of how much your internet signal can handle, basically.
Really playing real-time streaming right through the, this window from my studio into Lucas's. Works perfect.
Yeah. Cool.
So this idea,
yeah,
this idea is really just the tip of the iceberg. We're developing an open source platform to go along with this, to really enable what the audience wants. And I think this is the key. This is looking 10 years down the line of when everybody growing up on iPads and iOS devices is connected to this level, and this kind of interaction is expected.
Awesome.
Cool. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Can we get a little round of applause? Very cool. So, I mean, everything we were talking about, you saw right there. It's pretty simple to use. I mean, it's happening in real time, face to face. It's pretty much as close as you're going to get to being in a live recording studio. And, when that's not feasible, when you got somebody overseas, somebody in Canada that you want to connect with, you don't have to hop on a plane. You don't have to spend a ton of money on hourly studio rates. You could just link up with them within a matter of a couple of minutes.
If you notice, the response time is very fast on that.
Yeah.
I think when Lucas said, "Hey, Rob, start," it was milliseconds later that he actually started. So the response time, cycle time for interacting is actually faster than a cell phone. And then you get the sort of the rich ability to see each other face to face, which I think just has higher bandwidth, higher fidelity in the communication.
I think it's about that time. We're going to
take some questions.
take some questions. If anybody has any questions, just jump on that microphone right there.
I have a question regarding the camera. Can you hook up a high-definition camera instead of using the webcam on your laptop?
Yeah, so you can certainly hook up really high-quality cameras. Right now, we don't send HD video across the wire, but I think the important part about that, using a higher quality camera, is light sensitivity. The more sensitive it is to light, the higher the frame rate will handle. So you can certainly have really high quality cameras, and that's what we'll use when we do the President Obama's hangout on Monday. So he's going to really have a high quality camera to make sure that everything's just perfect.
And that's just you interface with a certain box with your computer, or?
It'll come in however your computer drivers do that. We don't do anything special there, and so we leverage the camera's drivers. But we've tested everything from an $8 camera up to a $10,000 camera, and we'll work with the range of them.
Okay. And it seemed to be a slight lag time for when he was speaking and we were actually getting it.
You might have seen a little bit of separation between the video and the audio. So we don't sync the video and audio, because if you sync the two, then you're always going at whichever is slowest. And we actually send the audio as fast as we can, because what we notice is that when you're having a conversation with other people, if the audio is very, very fast, you can have the conversation. If the video lags a bit, that's okay. But if the audio is laggy, then the whole thing kind of falls apart. So if you see your video lag a bit, that's because we're pushing the audio faster.
And when we recorded, people watching live saw a slight delay between the video and the audio, but the audio was being picked up. We were using another program called Audio Hijack to capture the audio as I was recording it. So Lucas on the other side was hearing it in real time and was able to make all the suggestions that he needed to make.
And it's not affecting the music portion of it. That's coming in as quickly as he's strumming on the guitar. So it's only the
viewers
holding back.
Yeah, the viewers it's not quite synced, but yeah.
Okay, but you can end up with a piece that you can post on YouTube that's totally synced.
Synced up, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great, thank you.
Obama was like, I will not be pixelated, and she made that happen. So I just wanted to note that.
If anyone shouldn't be pixelated.
What's up?
Is there a minimum and a maximum amount of people that can participate on one session?
Good question.
Yeah, you want to?
Well, so the minimum, you can have 1 or 2 people. And you can have private hangouts that are just focused on like 2 people talking to each other. Right now, the maximum is 10 people at a time who are actually in the hangout participating, audio and visual. But with on air, you can broadcast that out to tens of hundreds of thousands of people. And what we see a lot is that people will interact with you on the comment stream and send text questions and comment and feedback via text into your hangout. But actually sitting in there and having the conversation live is 10 people at most right now.
All right, so a max of 10 can talk, and then as many as possible can video chat on the side.
That's right.
Okay.
And the more people that are involved and stuff like that, does that affect the speed or the process?
No, if you have 10 people in there, you'll decode a little bit more, so we'll load the CPU a little bit more. But people generally don't feel a big difference between having 2 or 3 people versus having 8 or 9 or 10 people.
Gotcha. So on the music side, with the jam session idea, are you actually mixing and mastering a song at a completely original track from start to finish and having a finished product from this?
Yeah, I have an example of one song that we started with, and I'm not actually doing that, but Lucas picked up the audio in his studio, and he has a full studio. Now he's relocated to San Francisco, but he was in Toronto at the time that we recorded, and he's able to mix and master it as if I were in his vocal booth.
Gotcha.
Singing.
So you're he's doing the engineering, you're just streaming in.
Yeah, he's telling me set it up, I want it because also I have a little more knowledge than I let on, but I wanted to completely, go into it as if I knew nothing because, I mostly know nothing, but there was a time when I also did know nothing, but I wanted it to be accessible to everybody who had a really limited knowledge, and so the engineer is telling you do this, move this, turn this dial up, adjust the input, your mic's too hot, and he's able to make these adjustments, and then tell me what to do. So
now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you say the functionality is with that? Is it really a practical way to record, or is it still working out the bugs?
Well, just to jump in, basically they're acquiring the pieces from all different places, and then the main engineer is mixing everything down, mastering it. So we do have a final product for you once we finish up with the questions that we're going to play to really show you the quality of it and what it sounds like, because I know that's on a lot of people's minds, like, all right, but is it practical? Is this something that could be slapped on an album and,
Well, and the other thing is that the thing that I have to show you, like in the couple of months since the idea first kind of came about and since we first started testing it, there's been so many changes and improvements to Hangouts, and then there's also been, Lucas has been able to test all these different methods. And so now what you're hearing with him recording Rob is going to, I mean, what it can do now is even like much better than I think the demo that I have that we recorded. But the main thing is it works. It worked a couple months ago, and now it just continues to get better because with, with testing.
And my final question is, how does it link to, I have an internet channel and you got, how's the functionality as far as like linking what you're producing on here to your internet channel?
One more time, I didn't hear the tail end.
If you have a partnership with YouTube and linking to your internet channel through YouTube.
Like any of your social networks and stuff like that?
Well, it automatically, when you do Hangouts on air, the session is automatically archived, and it's on it just goes right into your YouTube account, and then you can enable it for public. I think it goes in as private, right?
It's using the same account. So your YouTube account is connected to your Google Plus account. And so when you create an on-air, it gets streamed and recorded onto your account, but set to private for you first. And then you can edit it, modify it, and then choose to publish it whenever you're ready.
And then you could just post that onto all your different networks.
Just one more quick question. When recording through this medium and comparing it with recording in an actual studio, do you think the quality differs at all? I mean, because these are big studios with incredible equipment. What's the difference, do you think?
Well, I
if
mean,
there is?
if you, definitely if you have a $20,000 microphone or something in a studio, you'll probably notice a difference, but the thing is, with audio the way it is now, and with everything that can be done digitally to audio, which, like, depending on your take on that, some people like the fact that you can do that, some people don't. I mean, you can make somebody sound like they can sing when they can't, that's sort of just a little example. But you can really do a lot to take audio that's recorded with a relatively inexpensive microphone and kind of like beef it up and make it sound a lot better than it might sound naturally.
What you do is, like, you're using really tools like Audio Hijack and all that to capture your audio, actual audio, and they would send that directly to Lucas. And Hangouts was a collaboration tool that sort of pulled people together and facilitated that to work. So you can use professional tools for your audio capture.
Oh yeah, you can. I mean, what I did was very basic. Like, I just used a Beta 58. So, and I didn't have a special mic or anything because I wanted to see what it could sound like with just a very bare minimum. I used a $150 microphone and plugged it right into a little 2-channel M box and then into my laptop. So we were kind of testing. We were testing like the very bare, basic, minimal level of equipment. But you could get as fancy as you wanted to, really.
The thing is, you're still dealing with top of the line professionals. You could have people from the Hit Factory in NYC, doing a Google Plus Hangout. So it's wherever you want to go with it. If it's a bunch of 16-year-olds on a Casio with like a mic you could pick up at Toys R Us, then you could use it that way as well. But you're not losing any credibility. I mean, it's just all these professionals coming together and making music. But the thing is, nowadays, you could have a semi-decent microphone and a decent program, and you could shoot that over to the engineer, and no quality is lost because anybody who's in the business knows most of the production happens post and afterwards, and things are beefed up and stuff like that. So
continue to use the tools that you always have used to do the recording, and use Hangouts to sort of collaborate and sort of bring the people together, even if they're all around the world.
Question for you guys. How does the legal part works? I mean, who's the owner of that finalized song? Who's the real owner? And can you use, for example, for commercial purposes? Can you sell it to a brand, for example?
Always with masters, the way it works is it's the studio it's recorded in. So legally, it would probably
not necessarily.
Tara, take over.
Okay.
Well, it depends. I mean, like when I record with somebody, I own the masters. When I recorded for Island Records, they own the masters. When I record for myself, I own the masters. I own the copyrights because I'm the writer. It depends. I mean, if you're in a production deal, then the studio owns it, then the studio that records it.
But doing it this way doesn't change any of that. It's still the same.
Yeah, it's as if it were a studio. You know, if I walk into a studio and I say, "Will you record me?" They don't own. You know, they don't own.
It's not like Google Plus is forever now.
Right.
You know, so
Right.
You still retain that.
And when you record, like you're in a studio, you're on one side of the window, and they're on the other side, and now those two rooms can just be miles and miles apart.
Yeah, they can be in different countries or across the world, but it's still the same kind of feeling when you're recording it. Thank you.
Any other questions, guys?
Chi, you mentioned that this is designed as a general collaboration tool, and this is a television production conference. How far away do you think it is, or is it possible now to, say, do a collaborative editing kind of, video editing kind of situation where you have clients or people in different places and you're putting together a video project?
I think that's something that people are experimenting with now. But if you think about what video conferencing is in general, and like the ability to really communicate at a higher bandwidth, like that's what Hangouts is tuned for. Right? And then we have, like, Cliff was screencasting as well as Lucas, so you could actually show and collaborate on the screen and see what you're building on the screen. We have general purpose tools like that at this point, but I think it's very open for more specialized tools as we go forward. Right now we have tuned it for sort of the business case usage, but you know, I think it's evolving extremely quickly.
And for those of us who are just learning about how to get involved with Hangout, what's the process of getting involved? You be part of Google Plus. Is it self-explanatory once you get online?
Yeah, you go to plus.google.com, you sign up, and then there's a button over at the right side that says create a Hangout, and that's it. You hit it and you join, and there you go.
And is there a way to take screen capture from the computer and stream that? Like, say, I saw the output of a audio recording program in your demonstration just now. Could you have Premiere Pro or Final Cut?
Yeah, can you switch back over to the laptop for a sec? So if you look up at the top corner, it says screencast, screen share at the top left. So you hit that, and then you can pick whatever window you want to screencast, and you can pick anything that's running on your computer, and we'll screencast it. So it doesn't matter what tool you're using.
Yeah, so you can share.
You can share your entire desktop. You can share one specific app. You can choose whatever you want.
And if you're tired of looking at somebody, you could just bring that up to block their face. So, you know, serves
like
two
I'm sharing
purposes.
that now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, I think this is really exciting. Thank you so much for creating this.
Thank you.
I can't wait to use it. My question, when you create a Hangout, do you have to create a new Hangout each time you want to collaborate, or do you have like a set Hangout space?
You know, the way we think about it is like a new Hangout is created each time.
Okay.
But you don't have to go and actively create and like have this big action. In fact, like we've integrated it into chat, so if you're chatting with someone, you can hit a button that says go to a Hangout, and it automatically creates it for you and sends the invite, and they just hit a link and you're joined.
I can show them right now.
Yeah.
Do you want me to, can we switch the screen on? I can just show you my own. Like, here's my Google Plus account. So here's my circles, my friends, my stream, and every time somebody in my circles posts something, then it shows up here, sort of like Facebook a little bit. But then you go to
Make sure you add her. See, this is great promotion.
Oh,
She
yeah.
did this on purpose.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Not me. So then if you see over here, it says start a Hangout. I mean, I'm going to close this Hangout that I'm currently in, just so that
We'll call you back,
can
Rob.
see. Yeah. So I'm going to click on start a Hangout, and then it's really this easy, and it says, okay, there I am, and I can invite whoever I want. Like now, I'm going to invite Rob Michael, or I can make it public. I could invite everybody, so it's public. I could invite my extended circles, and then I'm going to do Hangout, and it tells you nobody's there, and there's a sad robot with balloons all by himself. But there
so
we
you
are.
create that, and then in a few seconds, people kind of
People
pop
start
in.
coming in. And they all have a notification in their stream, the page that I showed you a second ago, and that tells them that I'm now hanging out and they can come join.
And if you don't want them to join you, you just...
You can do a private hangout, so I can only invite the people that I want to join me,
Right.
or I can do public.
Well, if you do a public, suppose then you get a creep or something.
Yeah.
Can
The
you-
community is really self-policing. I mean, it's kind of interesting.
It is, but if you do have a creep in there or a troll in there, then if you go over the icon, there's a button that says block, and then you can block them out. And then
Yeah.
Okay.
you don't have to deal with them.
I can't block myself, but
You can't block yourself.
no.
You can
But
get
if
rid
you,
of all
if you
your
scroll
stuff.
over it, you'll see a little.
So whoever creates the hangout has control.
No.
Oh.
There's no control over the hangout. So if you have a creep in there, anyone can block anyone else. So even if you're not the one who created it, you joined, and someone else is being a creep, you can block them, and then they can't interact with you anymore. So anyone
wanna
can
block
block
Rob.
anyone else.
But
So
I
like
could.
if you hover over Rob, see that? So hover over Rob, there's that Ghostbuster, and so Tara can block.
But I'm not
Rob.
going to, because we like Rob.
So other people will still be able to interact with the person, but you just won't.
Let's see, is there
See
somebody
anything.
we can block?
Okay. Okay.
Because maybe what
Oh, I
you
don't
find creepy, another person really likes. You know?
Someone else's goal
Well,
is your.
well, the only thing I'm thinking of is if you do, if you involve children in what you're doing.
Right.
You don't want to open up the door
Yeah.
for creeps to interact with children that.
Right.
Absolutely. In that
So-
case, then the thing is just invite the circles that you really want there and not open for public.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks.
We got a few more minutes, so now I think we're going to just play the final product for you, and you guys could check that out. And then we'll be hanging out on the side afterwards, so if you have more questions, you could ask us.
Yeah, so this is just, like I said, this was done to kind of see what we could do with the sort of minimal amount of equipment, and just kind of a test that we did. But, oops, can we get the audio? Oh, that would be me.
My friends are the camera now. I made a choice, and I know sometimes we choose right, and sometimes we don't. Remember when you told me this was for real? Remember when I tried to get you back? I closed my eyes and I made a deal. I'd never lose myself again like that. Don't feel so bad. I know you tried. I'm sharp as nails and thick as ice. I feel no cold at night, no warm inside. I got nothing to lose and nothing to hide.
So there's that.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for taking part in our conversation. Thanks.